Hello friends, thank you for being here today. I'm Brent. I'm a junior at the University of North Texas. I'm pursuing a Bachelor of Arts in Applied Sciences, majoring in Applied Technology and Performance Improvement. I work as a quality control technician in visual inspection for Texas Instruments. Here's a little background on myself to help you figure out what has brought us here today. Since I was old enough to understand that girls did not have cooties, I've always had a romantic heart. Even way back then, I craved stable relationships rather than playing the field and dating several girls. Through the years, my softer side has led to some heartaches and pain, but my respect and desire for marriage has never wavered. This brief introduction is a Cliff Notes version of why, after finally being blessed with a fiancé to share my life with, I was inspired to prepare this presentation to share our journey of planning our wedding. I invite you to travel with us. This is Bliss or Miss, ins and outs of planning a wedding. And here's a funny quote from Steve Martin. I don't know, some people might not remember Father of the Bride, but I used to think a wedding was a simple affair. Boy and girl meet, they fall in love, he buys a ring, she buys a dress, they say I do. I was wrong, that's getting married. A wedding is an entirely different proposal. And I'll play this little video to watch while I hand out a little simple questionnaires. If you happen to be married, we can just turn in one questionnaire for the couple if both of you are here. It's a viral engagement proposal video. You might have seen it. There'll be, like, the questionnaire is the small sheet, and the larger sheet you'll keep for an outline. And be sure to put your cast back on your pen so it doesn't bleed on the couch. I'll just let it play while y'all fill out the forms. Just hold them up and I'll come grab them.
We're supposed to be filling this out now. Just watching the video. Right up the side.
Yeah, the larger sheet is just an outline to follow as the presentation goes. If you have questions as we go, you can jot little notes down. Sorry to cut the video off.
Ooh.
So I've got varying answers. I guess I said if both spouses were here, we could do one, but I guess it's more interesting if you do two because you see if you get the same answers. Basically, these are the similar questions to what was on the form. If you were married, divorced, or widowed, how long were you married? And I see 44 years, 32 years. Oh, also 32 years. Someone must have looked over the shoulders and cheated. We got the same answers. And with when and where were you married, basically we're just getting at, was it a local wedding, or did you do like a tropical destination, or somewhere like that. I see a Shreveport and a Louisville. I'm assuming that those weren't destination weddings. Those seem to be more of a local wedding. And I have a no answer and a none, a no and a no on regrets about the wedding. I was talking about the wedding, not the marriage. The wedding was what I was getting at for the whether there was any regrets. And I see that we don't have any single people here, but basically that would have just been, are they wanting to get married? Because there are a lot of people that don't have a desire to get married. But so are there any other questions regarding this? Just our group is very similar, all married and none on destination weddings. So I guess we'll just go ahead. These will be the main points that my fiance and I focused on when we were going through our wedding. And each one of these points we'll have to consider, because we wanted a destination wedding and we also had reasons for a local wedding. So each one of these points we had to consider the factors that would be involved in having a destination and the factors that would be involved in having a local wedding. And the first topic was what venue do we want? There were benefits to both. Easier access for the larger number of guests for a local wedding, but the people covering the wedding would have more of an upfront cost for all the different, because the local wedding has the chapel, the reception, there's much more cost and load on the people putting the wedding on. But the people that are the attendees to the wedding don't have as much upfront cost, so more people are able to attend your wedding. Destination, it lessens the burden on the people that are putting the wedding on because the individuals are paying for their participation in the wedding. But in that, there's also a much higher cost for the individual guests. But the nice part is the higher cost for the guest is a built-in way to keep people from coming to your wedding that you don't want to come to your wedding. As we move on to the next, and basically they're all factors have to do with the other factors. So the next part, not really a separate factor. Oh yeah. So when you're talking about a destination wedding, there's so many different aspects that go into selecting the venue. But the venue is the most important because it has an impact on every other factor. Like the different venue, you can wear a different dress, or the different venue, you can have more people or less people. So within every other factor, we have to also consider which venue, whether you're doing local or a destination. And when you're talking about dress, if you do a local wedding, if it's outdoor, it's only limited by the length of the train, what the bride would be comfortable dragging, and if she's okay with it dragging on the ground, and as far as the weight. The shoes on a local outdoor wedding would just have to be capable of covering the terrain, like if it was to get stuck in soft ground, but it's not going to be the same as if you're on a beach destination. Like you're going to have very high limitations of the shoes that you can wear walking through the sand. And an indoor local wedding, there's basically no limitations because it's a completely controlled environment. It doesn't change. So anything that you can think of, you can have. And that's one real benefit to a local indoor wedding that we considered. If you just look over at the destination wedding, like we said, you'll have problems with certain shoes in the sand, so you're likely to be in sandals or barefoot if that's a factor that my fiance was considering because she likes shoes. And also, the one thing that's nice about the destination wedding is if the bride wants to do the trash the dress, where you get to splash and take nice pictures in the water, where it's really different. That is an opportunity that's provided with a beach wedding that you couldn't do at a local wedding. There's no beach to splash around in. After the dress, you can see this exorbitant dress would never, while it is really beautiful, it would never work at a beach because no one has that strong of calves and thighs to pull that through the sand. The next thing that we were considering was the difference in food and reception on a local and a destination. The local wedding, similar to the venue, you have any option that you want because you have the time and the space, and there's no shipping requirements or constraints of the local economy. Like, you have everything that's available to you every day. On the destination side, you're limited to the package choices because the resorts will have their pre-packaged wedding, and the food will be included within the different wedding tiers. However, if you're staying at an all-inclusive resort, there's nothing that says your wedding party can't just all go to one of the all-inclusive restaurants. So that opens up your options vastly to a wide variety of choices. And one thing to consider on the destination side is if you do have a destination wedding, not all family and friends will be able to attend because of the cost and because of, not only the cost of the resort, but the cost of taking the time off from work. So then you have to consider if you're still going to have a local reception to accommodate those friends and family. And then, but the only downside of that is you're adding the cost of the local reception, and it kind of offsets the benefit to the people putting on the wedding that they were going to receive by doing the destination wedding. They're no longer going to be saving that money because they're going to have to spend additional money to have a local reception. It's all the things that we have to consider when we were thinking of planning our wedding. Everything is tied together. Because basically, if you're wanting this wedding, it's going to be very difficult for you to do as a destination wedding because you are able to customize it, but within the package, it's very difficult. And if you are doing a destination wedding and wanting to do a local reception, if you try to make your local reception into this, then you've completely negated any benefit. Because once you start trying to do this, you might as well have just had a full-on local customary wedding. Next thing to be considered is our guest list. Local wedding, local venue, you can have any size guest list because you can just select, you have all the different size rooms available to you. But with the larger guest list, you're more likely to have family members or friends that are kind of on the edge, like friends that are friends of friends that you don't really care for at your wedding, and you really would prefer for them not to be at your wedding. But there are ups and downs to everything, and positive and negatives to anything. So the positive is you could have as many people as you want. The negative is you might get people there that you don't want. Whereas the destination side, you're limited to the number of participants that you can have by the packages. The packages will say you can have a maximum of 20, you can have a maximum of 50, and you're also limited because of the finances of people not being able to afford to invest, $2,000-$3,000 to come to your wedding. It's a big ask. And I just got these quick e-cards. It would be an honor to ruin your wedding. Everyone has that person in their group of friends or their family that they like to make the wedding about them, or basically any gathering they like to make it about them. And then on the flip side of that, there's the people that are, we didn't get invited to the wedding because they know about you and they know your relationship, and the wedding doesn't really matter to them that much. But basically, these are just these are funny little posters, but the gist of it is this is in everyone's family and everyone's circle of friends. Another vast difference in destination and local is the ability to select decorations and flowers. I touched on it before with the venue, but just like everything, local you have much more selection and much more variety. Basically, you have as many selections as you want to spend. Anything you spend, you can find a different option for. Whereas the same thing with the destination, they're designed into prepackaged groups. You can customize it, but as you start customizing it, you have to consider if you want this decoration, then you've got to have a way to transport it to your destination, where you're incurring fees on checking extra bags, or is it going to get damaged in a bag? Do you need to ship it, and then are you going to be able to ship it and have the hotel hold it for you? So it can be difficult to bring your own stuff to your destination for your own decorations. And then also, if it's halfway around the world, it can be difficult communicating over the phone and really being able to describe exactly what it is that you want. So as you start customizing the destination wedding and not going with prepackaged, it becomes extremely difficult to get exactly what you want. And like, if you, this is a very extravagant local wedding, but if you were trying to do this in a destination wedding, it's not going to be possible. Just because something like this is going to take, like the destination weddings, they churn through them. Like you have your time and your allotted time, but right after that, it's cleaned up, you're out the door, and they've got another wedding in there. So something like this would be impossible to do at a destination wedding, because this is going to take a day or 1 or 2 days, 3 days to set up something this extravagant. While it is very nice, if it's not important to you, this is not possible to do in a destination wedding. In the end, love is paramount. And I wrote the whole thing down there, but basically it just says, after extensive planning and attention to every aspect and how they interrelate, my fiance and I became tired of what the process had become. The bottom line was that we wanted to be married. The planning had started as fun, especially for my fiance, but getting to do things with, she was getting to do things with the girls. But our enjoyment quickly turned to a sense of being overwhelmed by both the sense of the scope of our choices that we were making and also their impact on others. We felt as if our experience was being lost just for the sake of things, like the planning process and in trying to make everyone else happy. People all respond differently to situations when they feel like things are being taken out of their control and the pressures involved. Love was our response that we used to regain control of our wedding. And thus you see the result. This presentation started with us getting ready to plan our wedding, and now you can see she's got both of the rings and I have a ring on my finger. So this process wore us both down, and we realized that all we wanted was each other. So basically the simplest plan is always the best plan. We were sitting on the couch one day, and we both realized that none of the fluff mattered. We were stressing ourselves out over things that would be fun, but wouldn't have any lasting impact on our relationship and our lives. It might be cliche, but what could be more romantic than relieving all of the stress and getting married on Valentine's Day? Others are welcome in the future to have their own Valentine's Day, but my wife and I, 2/14/15, will always be our day, the day that the world stood still for us. So now as we go back and consider the things, these are the same things that we started considering at the beginning, but after going through the process, we realized that the most important factor to consider was the love of the couple. That's all that, in the end, all of the things and all the different checklists and websites and magazines and all the different, how this is supposed to do your wedding, there's no one that can tell you how to do your wedding. Only the two people involved know how to do it. Because only the two people involved know what really matters to them and what they're looking for out of their wedding and marriage. Are there any questions about anything that we've covered, or any funny things that you'd like to point out from your lives or your weddings?
It sounds like you and your wife made a very important decision, and you made it together, and you got rid of all the worry and the transport and family feelings and all of that. I think y'all made a wonderful decision together.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so the same thing when the love is always paramount. That was an interesting way you put that together and showed the end result. It's nice that I'm very impressed and pleased for you and your wife that the outcome was a happy decision for you both. And the best part of it was you could see how this could easily have gone out of control, but yet you decided, hey, we need to focus on the two of us. And I'm glad it worked out that way.
Thank you, most certainly. Because we were letting it get out of control.
Another thing too that I did not consider, I'm glad you brought that up about the destination. A lot of people have personal things that they want to have in the wedding, you know, something from their mom or you know, a family heirloom or something like that. Yes, that is difficult to get that to a foreign place.
Well,
with
and
the potential for damage, the potential for loss,
Absolutely.
all that. You don't think about some of those little things that can turn into big things.
absolutely, it's because while it's very important for you, is it worth the risk of it getting damaged and you losing that? Like,
Correct.
it definitely ran through our minds. Well, I guess that's it. I thank everyone for being here. Oh, the summary. Throughout the entire process, I basically already said this, but we followed all the steps on the myriad of checklists and from the magazines and websites. Today wasn't really meant to tell you how to plan a wedding. It was rather to simply share our experience. Of course, that experience ended up being not how we planned our wedding, but how we had our wedding. But in the end, after all the consternation, our story wasn't meant for grand venues or sacrifices to make family members happy. I hope you all realize that I'm not saying there was no intrinsic value within the planning process. If you take nothing else away from this, remember that all the effort we put into the things and the stuff throughout planning our path ended exactly where it was supposed to. With us together, our love, and each other. Thank you for listening and participating today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me now or anytime, or just contact me at my email, houseb@gmail.com. Thank you again.